Okay, so finished welding the chassis together and I've placed it on the bathroom scales. I used to go and weight the car with, and we're on 13.5, 14 kilos, just over 2 stone. So we're at the fitting pit bike wheels onto a Cyclekart. The 17-inch rim pit bike wheels come with 17mm bearings, or 15 or 17mm. These came with 17mm, and these fit straight onto the Gemini axles. On the rear, we've got a 25mm go-kart axle there. That causes a little bit of an issue. So the way we do that is we knock out the bearings, the spacer and the bearing, just punch them straight out the wheel. The outside of the bearing is 35mm and we want 25mm. So we've punched them, put them out the way, and it leaves us with this. There's a little bit, maybe a bit of cleaning up to do inside, but it does go over the axle, so I'm not really bothered about that. So what we've got on order now is from Bearing Boys. We've got a phosphor bronze stepped bush that's going to go in there, 35mm outside with a shoulder on it, 25mm inside diameter. So that's the wheel there, going to be prepped when we put the bushes in. The Gemini hubs that clamp on come with three, get it in focus, 3 studs. Now I've heard if you get a bit of heat on them and they'll pull out easier, but I just put a pair of mold grips on, gripped them because I don't mind about damage them, and pulled the unscrewed the studs out. Then we cut down some button-headed bolts to the same length, plus the thickness of the plate, and we screwed the plate onto the hub like so. We've used, because those bolts are going to be hidden, we've used the medium strength thread lock, the blue one. Bit of blue, everyone likes a bit of blue, so we'll have those in there. Now they also come with a spacer ring, or that you can buy a spacer ring from Gemini. It's only a couple of quid, and that saves you having to grind the shoulder off the hub there. So that spacer fits over there. On some earlier posts they said you had to grind little bits off the mush head or the button head bolts to allow that to sit right, but they must have increased the diameter of the of that, and there's no need for that. So then that bit of space out here. I'm working outside in the sunshine because I hate being indoors. So that goes on there. That goes on there. And that. Now actually, I am going to have to. Right, that didn't take a minute. I'm back. So what I've done, I've just gone on the Dremel and just taken the edges off there. Then when that sits in there, it now sits nice and flush. And actually, the fact that there's flats on there inside will stop them unscrewing themselves out of sight. So we can then bolt that on there. I'll just... Oh. Right, couple of bolts in there. Obviously, the bushes I spoke about a minute ago are still missing on order. So, here's one I prepared earlier. The wheel will then, the pit bike wheel will then fit on the go-kart axle, like so. Now, I've seen a lot of comments on the forums about driving the back axles, and if you fit in these hubs on this axle with that keyway in there, you can't freewheel one wheel or the other depending on which direction the track's going. Well, with this method you can. So what you do is you cut your key bar down to the right length, and then whichever axle you want to drive, you fit the key bar in there, and you slide it up, tighten up a collar, and that stops the bar coming out, and you've got a driven wheel. If when you get to the track, you could do that on both wheels. If when you get to the track you decide you want this wheel freewheeling, you can slide that back off there, pull the keyway out. Bet you could use a magnet to do that. Pull the keyway out, and then on this side here, I'm still waiting. Obviously, I'm going to have the sintered bronze bush on the inside, which is 35mm to 25mm with a step on it. So that'll sit in there, and then I'm going to put a 25mm washer over the end there and a circlip. So that will hopefully stop the wheel coming off. So what I can do, I can take the pin out of here, I'll have a washer and a circlip to hold the wheel on. I'll have the clamp up the other side to hold the wheel in position. So that wheel will then be able to spin on the bush, on the shaft, with this loose, and it will give you basically an open diff setup on a Cyclekart on the cheap. A quick walk around the progress so far. It's looking like the engine plate is going to go there. I'm going to sacrifice the 1-inch lift on the engine plate so that I can adjust the chain and still put nuts on the bottom and get the bolts out if I need to. So I can move the engine forwards and backwards. Got a little cut to do there on the engine plate, and a cut out there to do to take the sprocket. Then the sprocket will slide across, and I'll be able to line everything up with the drive teeth down there. As I've just been showing you, the pit bike wheels are sort of mounted. Still waiting on some bushes to go there to stabilise the wheel. The problem with the, where are they? Get them here. With the 3-way bolted not fitting on the chassis has been fixed with a 2-way, 2-bolt. Welding's not the tidiest, but if you want to see tidy welding, look somewhere else. On the front end, it looks like we've made the most progress on the front. Excuse me. The steering rack has arrived. I've just ordered these clamps so I can put probably angle iron brackets out of there and clamp the steering rack onto that. The tie rods are too long, so I might just cut about 75mm out of them and weld them back together. The wheels bolt on a treat, waiting for tyres. The shackles and the springs are all mounted. So I could basically put it down on its wheels now and have a rolling chassis. Just tie this lot up. I'm waiting for the accelerator and brake pedals to turn up, and then I'll construct a bit of a subframe to weld onto here that will take the steering rack, and then the brake pedals with the cylinders and stuff. The steering rack came with a go-kart steering wheel that I'll use for now, and from the end of the steering rack there, the steering wheel is going to be up here somewhere. So what we've got here, this coupling here attaches the steering rack, and then that takes the steering wheel. So I've got some bushes on order to mount that in, and then this I'm going to cut it, and I've got some tubing that's 16mm inside diameter, and I'll be able to extend it out a metre or whatever it takes and weld it back on, so I'll have steering. So it's going a lot quicker than I thought it would. I'm looking into modifications to the engine, but I'm concentrating on getting a chassis that's driving and usable. The floor and the box, I've got some leftover plywood there from the jig I made. It's actually not that heavy, so I am thinking about constructing a wooden floor. I was thinking about using aluminium or aluminium checker plate, and again, been waiting for wheels to see how far I can drop it, but possibly dropping it 5 inches below the chassis rail, so you're sat right down low inside the cart, and then tapering up, and depending on the pedals, see how high I can go this end or low I can go this end. So whether it's going to be a wooden box or an aluminium box, I'm not sure yet. And then I'm going to make a metal frame over here to take the top steering joint and obviously extend down to there, so I'll have everything for a drivable chassis at that point when the tyres turn up and the tubes, and then I can have a little drive around. With the body, everyone says find a car that you want to build and then model it on that. Well, I'm building a simple kart, I'm using simple plans, and I've been looking around for a body that would fit in with my simple design, and potentially later on building another body, changing the body, swapping it around year by year, just having some fun with it. So what I've done, I've actually ordered a scale model car on the internet, a little dinky toy of the car I'm thinking of modelling it on now, and then when that arrives I'll have a quite detailed scale model to work out dimensions from, and it'll be a lot easier than doing research on the internet. So if you like this sort of stuff, give us a thumbs up and subscribe, it costs out, and see how we progress. Let me know how you're getting on. Any ideas, any suggestions, please put them in the comments below. See you next time.